Alright, in the last video, we talked about strafe jumping and how to generate momentum. Now, the other fundamental part of building and preserving speed in the game is the crouch slide. Now, the crouch slide is done by, when you're in the air, you can either hold crouch or press crouch right before you're about to hit the ground. Either way works. It's the same thing with jumping. Holding it in the air will not necessarily penalize you if that's how you want to do it. I believe it does actually give a little bit of an air acceleration nerf, although don't quote me on that if you just hold it all the time, which is why when you're strafe jumping you remain uncrouched and then you press crouch right before you want to crouch slide. So basically, when you're in a crouch slide, you preserve all the momentum that you had before you did the crouch slide. Now, the important thing about this is that you cannot crouch slide indefinitely. There is a time limit represented by this green bar on the bottom of the screen. And when that green bar runs out, you come to a dead stop. You just enter a normal grounded state and the normal friction and grounded rules of the game apply. So the important thing is that if you want to build speed and preserve speed with your crouch slide, you jump again before your crouch slide runs out. And then you can re-crouch once you hit the ground. Now, that is the first important aspect, is that it has a time limit and it preserves all your speed. The second important aspect is that you have basically full grounded control over your character while you're in the crouch slide, and you can change directions very, very quickly. Like that. Like I can do a full 180 and gain speed by doing it. And this is going to be the primary way that you connect your strafe jumps together around corners. Like if I want to strafe jump around this corner, if I just do it normally, I have to stop here, then do a circle jump, and then go around the corner. But if I do a crouch slide, I can preserve all of my speed going around this corner. Now, the way you actually change directions in the crouch slide is going to depend on which keys you're holding. Now, which keys you're holding also affects the angle that you have to move your mouse at. When you're holding W and A, like if you're doing a W and A strafe jump, and then you start crouch sliding, the angle that you're holding your mouse at is going to be at a slight angle from the direction that you actually want to travel in. It's kind of like a tangent line to the arc that you want to make while you're turning. Like I'm looking further to the left than my character is actually going. So this is different for A and D strafing, just like how strafe jumping is different for A and D strafing. Because when I'm in a crouch slide and I'm holding A, the direction that I'm looking is the direction I'm going. And this makes it a lot easier to crouch slide and get places reliably when you use A and D strafe jumping, because you are always looking the direction you're going. It also makes it a lot easier to change directions quickly in either direction. Like you can strafe back and forth very easily, whereas if I want to do the same thing with W and A, I have to flick back and forth really quickly, and it's just a lot more movement and it's clunkier to do. Now, another important thing about this is that the faster you're going, the wider your crouch slide arc has to be. Like for example, if I just go at this speed, I can turn the mouse basically as fast as I want. And I don't lose any speed. In fact, I generate more speed. But if I gain a lot of speed, like let's get up to 1300 here. And I try to do that again, you'll notice I come to basically a dead stop because I'm accelerating my mouse faster than the keys in the crouch slide can keep up with. So you have to be careful about how quickly you're actually going to crouch slide. And again, you'll notice that the camping gas HUD, when you're crouch sliding, it changes to this little bar. And when your mouse starts to go outside of that bar, that's when you start losing speed on the crouch slide. Like right there. So you have to make sure that your mouse arc is very smooth when you're crouch sliding, so that you're always building speed or preserving the speed that you have. And this gets really important, especially when you're going very fast, because even small losses of speed like that, when you're going really fast toward the end of a map, that can really add up to big differences in your time. So you want to be going as smoothly as you possibly can. So those are sort of the basics of grounded crouch sliding. Another big important part is how crouch sliding interacts with sloped surfaces. So let's just go to the top of this slope as an example. When I'm on a slope surface and I do a crouch slide, I start to get dragged down the slope by gravity. So an important way that you can exploit this is by using this sort of force of gravity to add to the momentum you gain by strafing in your crouch slide. So for example, if I were to just jump down this slope with a normal strafe jump, I get up to about 700. Now let's do the same thing, but let's crouch slide down it. Like right there, I got to like 900 before the bottom of the slope. So you can exploit the speed you gain by crouch sliding down a ramp and use it to generate a lot of speed. Now another important part is going back up a ramp. So for example, if I'm going to strafe jump up this ramp over here, you'll notice that I can't really gain speed getting up that ramp. My speed keeps getting knocked down every time I bump into the ramp again as I go up. Now, I can kind of negate this by crouch sliding up the ramp instead of just jumping straight up it. And the faster you're going, the greater this negation is. Like right there, I barely lost like 50 UPS. Like you can preserve pretty much 100% of your speed when you're going fast just by doing a crouch slide right before you hit the ramp and then crouch sliding all the way up and over it. Now this advantage is negated if you jump and then hold crouch and then hit the ramp. You have to start your crouch slide on a level surface before the ramp. So let's give an example of that, because you will lose the same amount of speed, I think, as if you were to just bump into the ramp normally. It wasn't all that much, but it's a noticeable difference. Like right there, I lost a good amount of speed. So it's important that if you want to preserve as much speed as possible, you do your crouch slide right before you hit the ramp on a level surface, and then go up the ramp. Yeah. So how crouch sliding interacts with ramps is really important. Another great thing about crouch sliding up ramps is that if you jump in the middle of a crouch slide up a ramp, you get flung into the stratosphere. Like you can build a lot of vertical momentum by crouch sliding up a ramp and then jumping before you hit the end of it. It can be really useful to fling yourself really long distances. There is a very specific part on the map Nude ADR where you use a ledge that's like no higher than this red line on the wall is, and you fling yourself over like half of a section of the map. It's very cool and very fun to do. And it's important to be able to know how to do that in your runs, because it will save you more speed than just bumping into the ramp normally. Now, combining your crouch sliding and your strafe jumps is just something that will come to you with practice. And it's really one of those, do it enough times that it becomes sort of second nature. For some people more than others, clearly. I keep messing this up. Yeah. So, if you just practice these as much as you can, eventually you'll get to a point where you just don't need to think about it. You know how to move in a way that preserves all of your speed so that you lose as little speed as possible. And that's the point where you sort of start to make small optimizations that gain you a lot of speed in your runs. Now, another important thing that I mentioned in the or in the strafe jumping video is that you can give yourself more speed at the start of a map with a crouch sliding pre-strafe than with a normal strafe jump, or with than a normal circle jump. Like right there, I get maybe like 470. But if I do this, I can get up to like 600. It's a little harder because you use up a lot of your mouse pad, but you can get more speed. So there are a lot of maps that have little areas like this where it's possible to pre-strafe and get a little more than usual. Hairpin is a great example, and a place where the pre-strafe strat is actually kind of vital to succeeding. Because if I just do a circle jump off the end here, I'm not really gonna get that far very quickly. But if I combine this, oh, I just fell off the end. If I do a pre-strafe, I can come off the end with 700, and I can get going pretty quick. It's been a while since I've done this, but there. Like, that was a good one. Now I can not clip the end of that. I can get up to like 1700 off the bottom of that ramp. Come around the corner, preserve as much speed as possible. Come down here, hit the bottom of this, then jump over into this section. Nowhere near optimal, but it's very important to know how crouch sliding interacts with ramps, how you can build speed with it. It's probably easier to build speed with a crouch slide than with just like regular air acceleration. So if you can find areas where you can crouch slide and build speed with like no penalty to your time, it's very important that you do so. Now this is that, I mean, that's pretty much everything I know about crouch sliding. The next video will be an example of a run where all of these concepts are put together. I'll break it down step by step, so stay posted for that.